name's Vincent Perezzi. I'm here with Ernesto Loya today on I'm Still Learning podcast intro.
So this is day one out of 365. Just like
Welcome to day one of 365. Dude, imagine we actually did that for 365 days. That wouldn't be too bad.
we'll see, but that's coming from the Bible in Your podcast. Shout out Father Mike Schmidt. It that's helped me a lot, honestly. Um, but a majority of what this podcast is it was an idea of ours that we've been contemplating on for about a bit, right? It's like I would pray on it, like we both I thought about it, essentially, but kind of streams back to the Father Mike Schmidt podcast. But you got into it first before me. So like what was your like initial like
Yeah,
thought about that, and like how has that helped you out um with your faith and being consistent?
that's a good question because I know a lot of people like it's, I think it's perceived as like a Catholic thing, like quote unquote, but it's,
Hmm.
you can read it with any Bible, even if you're Baptist, Methodist, whatever denomination you are. And Father Mike does a good job of explaining, because he's reading from a Catholic Bible, why we do the things that we do. And so I think that anyone that maybe is curious or just wants to learn about the Bible or read the Bible should join that. But I started because of my little brother actually, and he put my whole family onto it.
Hey, so
And now we all listen to it, and I'm on, I think, day 170 something now. I think 79. I'll be 180 tomorrow. Yeah,
solid.
now it's part of my daily routine. I just wake up, I get my little espresso going, and then I have the Father Mike on the Bible in the ear. It's really cool because once I first started like listening to it, it was I started to recognize like, wow, like this priest is just somebody that's just trying to fulfill the will of God. Because you can tell he's not doing it to boast or brag about who he is or why he does what he does. He's just
Yeah,
trying to fulfill the will of God. And I was like, started looking at myself, took a step back and was like, what is my purpose? And like, where am I going with this? And why am I doing the things that I'm doing? And recently, I know but I'll explain to other people that like, I just feel like I've been called to bring other people to the church, or hopefully that be Catholic, or and explain those reasons why we do what we do. And because it is the church that was founded by Jesus Christ, and I feel like it's in my purpose to evangelize, and I want to do that with somebody else like you that is also a child of God and trying to be better. And that's why we named it I'm Still Learning, because we are still learning. This is the first one.
facts.
um, I'm sure we'll look back at it and be like, wow, like this, that, and the other was good, this, that, and the other was bad, or we learned from it. I'm still learning. That's all you can do.
That's facts. That's facts. And one is for like a lot of people that don't know that our relationship that we're best friends now, but it was way back when. Like both of us growing up, of course, in the Catholic Church, going to mass, but like, it's like every other person, and that's why I feel like doing this is really relatable because I feel like many people have done that. A lot of times you're like, oh, you're forced to go to church for your family, you're forced to do this, and like it's put upon you,
Yeah,
and like a lot of people turn away from that because like, oh, I don't like people telling me what to do. But like essentially, it's like God's telling us what to do through the Bible, and that's why it's so like significant. I was like, well, I mean, if we're gonna listen to anybody, we should listen to Him,
was it
right?
God? Yeah, yep.
Yeah, and it's like like that's just interesting. And we're going back to, and it's like us and our relationship, like with that, it's like for those people that don't know us, it was man, how like how was I? I was like 10 or something or 11. It was 11 with the Marlins,
Yeah,
right?
yeah,
Right.
like 10 or 11. Are you
Yeah,
gonna bring this up?
I gotta read it right away. Well,
We're gonna
yeah,
talk about how I cried as a kid on the baseball field.
yeah. Well, one is
I
it.
already knew they put it on.
Well,
That's
one
where it
did.
started, though. That's where our friendship really did start.
It is. It is. And then I mean, like it's like again, like it's just a starting stone of like where you meet people and like you generally don't genuinely don't know um where God's gonna take you, right? It's like you could think like,
Yeah,
oh man, like I don't like this kid, he's crying, like, but later on you learn, like I'm still learning. It's like, hey yo, like now like like it's an accountability partner, kind of accountability brother, that I can
yeah,
call you whenever. But I mean, like there's gonna be a lot more that we're gonna talk about, like how or where we came from, how we've gotten here, but it's just going back to the podcast. Like
yeah,
a lot of us growing up in the church, like we like we hear stories, we hear this and that, and that's why even the show that you put me on, The Chosen, like there's a little disclaimer before the show starts, which I thought was very important, saying that hey, this show's going to talk about the Gospels and stuff like that, stories you've heard. But it says, please like watch this, but really read up on the Bible and kind of use this as a tool to kind of put it to life. And that's where this podcast kind of puts it to life for those that have difficulty sitting down and reading the book, and like you hear thoughts like, why am I doing this? I could be doing other things. Like you could put it on your headphones and go for a walk, enjoy outside, and really listen to the word of God. Um, and what's cool is like you could start from day one, you could start from wherever he's doing it, Father Mike Schmidt, and just kind of be like, okay, like this is where I'm starting off from. Like, okay, like I found it interesting, then let me keep doing this. But do it for yourself. But essentially, you're doing
Right.
it for God to understand His word better. But yeah.
Yeah. Where would you say like somewhere that maybe others can try and relate, or maybe they're in a place where they don't really know
Mhm.
much about God, or they are trying to discover it, and they feel like he's pulling them in or reaching out to them. Where did you start? Like, was it prayer? Was it like another friend? Because I know for my life, like you were somebody that always brought me back to Catholic Church, and like would be like, hey, do you want to go to like confession, for example? And like I
Yeah.
would have never done that on my own. And then even like my little brother was, you said The Chosen, he put me onto The Chosen too, and
Yeah.
then also Bible in a Year. And it's things like that. That's why I want to like do these things, because I have this set kind of lifestyle now that I want to give to God. And it's like, I want, if it's in my will, like I want other people to do the same. Because like my
Yeah.
little brother knows, he knows, like I've told
Yeah.
you guys, like because you did these things for me, now I'm at a place in my life that I feel like I can do it for others.
Yeah.
So what's something that like, where did you start? I don't really know that actually. I don't think I've ever asked you that. Like, where did you start? Um, why, why are you a Catholic? And like, why do you follow Jesus now and still
Well,
do that?
yeah. Well, but other people that I grew up in a household where my mom was Catholic, my dad was Christian. So I had both sides of the families that I would interact with and kind of hear both sides. So like that's why in that aspect, I feel like I could talk to many people on that behalf because I can hear both sides. Uh, but essentially like going through that, I wasn't baptized and I didn't go through
Mm-hmm.
confirmation and all that. I mean, like I went to Sunday school, I went to the Wednesday stuff um at church just to learn about the catechism and all that. But as a young kid, you don't
Yeah.
really pay attention. But when I really started was I think it was my sophomore year of high school. Um, like of course like freshman year and a bunch of stuff like we may or may not get into that stuff, but it's like I was in a place in my life where I was like, dang, like in high school, at that time, like starting to play like varsity baseball and all that stuff, like you're around a lot of people, you're around a lot of stuff that essentially influences and kind of builds you up.
Right.
That isn't necessarily who I am now, but at that point I was like, dang, like I don't feel good. Like I feel like I'm going through the day, I feel like I'm clouded with my vision, with my ears, with my heart. I was just clouded. I was like numb to to that. I was just living life and I don't know what I was doing, what my purpose was. Um, but then my mom at the time was like, "Hey, like it's kind of coming up to time. Like, did you want to like be baptized? Did you want to do that?" I was like, "I don't know, mom." But she's like, "Well, you know what? Like, I'll send you on a retreat. But first you gotta sign up with the stuff." And I was like, "Okay, like whatever." To me, it was like, "Okay, whatever. Like, I'll just go there on a Sunday
Mm-hmm.
before church." And then I was there, and this lady, she's a theologist, and I didn't understand what a theologist was, but it was somebody that studies the Bible. I was like, dang, like
Mm-hmm.
people do that, it's like people read it, priests. Like I just thought that was just priests growing up. Like honestly, like that's all I thought
Yeah.
it was. But they say
I
like
had no
do
idea
it.
what a theologist was, just for the
Yeah,
record. So it
yeah,
goes to show that I just learned on. I'm still learning.
yeah. And it's like that's it. I'm so learning. That's exactly right. It's like to me, it's like priests go to school to learn the Bible, and they don't just learn the Bible; they learn other um teachings from other religions so they can be able to, I mean, like you got to know it to be able to defend your religion, but not just defend it but be knowledgeable. um but this lady was a theologist, like she was a doctorate, and I was like, oh, like I didn't know that. But she
Hmm.
was kind of explaining it to me. I was like, yeah, I grew up on this, and I was like, like to me, I already heard the stuff. Like I've heard it my entire life, like blah blah blah. But then to actually like start speaking about it, and like I was a kid in the like RCIA class, and like that's what it's called. I was there just like in the corner, just like this is a bunch of like like it is what it is. Like
Yeah,
I
you're a
don't want to.
kid. Yeah, I did the same thing, brother. That was like very like Sunday school and like going to catechisms on Wednesday and like
Yeah.
all those things. Even like I think I was because we I grew up in a Catholic church. It was kind of like
Mhm.
I don't know. As you're just a kid, it's I could see why it is very boring to a child. And it's interesting though because I see in some of my family members, like my little cousin. I always talk to my little cousin, a very family oriented guy, and he's like in the church with my nana. And so I asked, he had recently got his first Holy Communion,
Nice.
and I told him, I said like, I was like, what's your favorite part about Mass? Because we were like playing catch one day and just hanging out.
Yeah.
He's like, I like receiving the bread, and I go, well, I was like, that's not bread, right? And he said, he's just like as innocent of a kid, like he's super like still a child. And he goes, I know. I was like, well, what is? I was like, what is that? He goes, it's Jesus. I was like, wow, that's cool. Like
Yeah.
dude, that I got something like I just interpreted, even though I was taught it as a kid,
Yeah.
and it took me teaching. While the year I was home playing baseball at Compton, I was teaching at the youth group for the kids to get their confirmation.
Yeah.
And like I every week they had a printed out paper and they were read I was like reading from it, and it was about the Eucharist, and I was like asking my youth group, do you believe that the bread turns to the body and that the wine turns to the blood of Jesus Christ? And like for me, I was like teaching these kids, and I was like, bro, how did I not know? Like I just realized that. And I was like, dude, are you serious? Like, but hey, I'm still learning, and like that was something I'll never forget because I knew what I was doing every time I went to go receive Holy Communion. And I was like, I knew I was going to mass for a good reason, but it's like paying attention and learning why we do these things, um, and that's why I wanted to kind of get into this because lately a lot of, I mean, now I'm in the South, bro. I'm out here in Kentucky right now, and I have kids from that I'm playing ball with from Tennessee, and they're Baptists, like asking me questions, and
Mhm.
most of them I've known the answers, and some I didn't. So I'll go and I'll research and be like, well, why do we do that? And where does it say why we do that? And it's helped me a lot, and to be able to be someone that I feel like because that's a reoccurring theme, I feel like I want to tell others that through social media and what's been going on, from even like another thing is the catechism in a year. For me on that, it's been Father Mike who does Bible in a year too,
Yeah.
explaining why we do things.
Hmm.
And I've been sending them to those kids, like why we do what we do as Catholics. Um, and it's all there, man. It's like we will definitely dive deeper into all those little things, and why we do the things we do. And it's the church that Jesus Christ himself founded. So
And man, dude, that's
um,
true. That's true.
that's why
It
we
is.
want to lead people to go to mass and call Catholics, Christians, non-Catholic Christians,
Yeah.
all non-believers of Jesus, like everyone, because everyone deserves Jesus Christ, Jesus loved everyone. That's why we're doing this, man. We wouldn't be doing it if it weren't for him.
Exactly. Exactly, dude. And like it's crazy because there's like like there's a lot. Like okay, so pretty much what you were talking about right now was that, like now when you're put into a situation where we'll ask you a question, and like when you're doing the confirmation, like you had a paper in front of you that you were reading that you've heard before, but you didn't process it when you were younger, right?
Right.
And again, when like people are asking questions, and you're like, dang, like I gotta look this up if I don't know it. And it's like,
Hmm.
again, it's like it's a muscle that we gotta work, right? It's like, again, if you don't use it, then you lose it, right? Like there's a lot of people that say, and like, yeah, like this grinds my gears a bit, and it shouldn't. Like, but whenever people say like, oh yeah, I used to go to church a lot, but it wasn't for me. Like, but like I feel this type of way where I just don't feel good. But it's like, but I already know everything. And I was like, no, we don't. And like that's like we don't know everything. Like
Yeah,
it's like what we know is surface level. Like there's so much more. Like to read every single word in the Bible and like to interpret it. Like most people don't do that. And again, like I'm still learning about that. So like to hear from people, I'm like, dang, like what gets people to that point? And then I try to think back to like, wait, that was me.
yeah,
You
yeah,
know? And like back to like what you're asking me, it's like, yeah, like I was there in high school. I was like, I've heard this all before. Like I already know this and that. Like as a teenager, you're like, yeah. As a teenager, you're like, yeah, like I know
yeah,
everything. Like I have it figured out when we don't. And at that point, like
absolutely.
I needed to learn. And like like
We're still learning, man.
yeah. But like it
It's
sucks at
like
that time. Yeah, you're right.
even so, like going on like what you were saying was like how we're learning and looking back to where we came from. It's okay to look back sometimes and see like maybe not look back on it like an event and like regret or think about,
Mhm.
but like overthink. I mean, but go back and like think about what happened, why it happened, where you were at, and be like, okay, but now I'm here with hopefully the faith that I have, and
Mhm.
that's what it is for you and I. Like
Yeah.
when we're teenagers, I look back and I'm like, oh, dude, I was doing all this stuff, and that's just because I didn't know Jesus, and now like I'm here and I know Jesus, and I still like we're not perfect. We're still learning, right? And we just
Yeah.
go back to that and we're like, oh, like why? Like I even question, recent events in my life, like why is this happening? Why did this happen? And it's like, and then you were there for me. You were like, dog, don't you believe in God? And I'm like, yes. I was
Oh,
like,
dude,
you have a purpose? And I'm like,
you
yes.
gotta tell that
Like,
story now.
okay, then why are you tripping? It's like it's all good, and it's cool because then you helping me get through what happened, and then to go fast forward to like a month later, then you were going through something, and I was like there for
Yeah.
you, and it's like so all these events that transpire, and you're like you could be questioning your head like why did this happen? Well, the why is in God. There's mysteries in life. There's
Yeah.
mysteries in everything, and in God. There's mysteries even in God, and so who are we to question those things that are going on in our life? It's a natural human instinct to be like,
That's true.
hang on, like why is this? It's good to ask those questions
Mm.
too. But then when you do find yourself questioning it, I like to take a step back and be like, and pray, do the sign of the cross, ask God, like, I'm sorry for questioning, but help me understand. Like, I have faith that someday I will see why this happened this exact way. And it never fails, dude. It never fails.
That's
I always
fact.
find out. You're always gonna know why, um, and continuing to do that is what's helped me a lot. Especially like, dude, even with like now with baseball, like pitching, whether it be like good or bad in the human eye, like say I get shelled or I stung, right? Bad versus good. It's gonna go the way God intended it. Of course, I'm gonna go out there and give it my all. I'm gonna try and like throw strikes and like get guys out and quote unquote shove. But if it just happens to be a day where everyone is getting barrel on barrel on barrel, like who am I to question? Go back in the dugout and be like, sit there and be like, dang it, oh, I suck. Like, no, you don't. That was the day that it happened. Like baseball, that game of learning, and like, I feel like for you even and I play a game too, but for golf, like, isn't it that way for you too? Like, talk a little bit about golf and where you're at with like that whole
Oh
thing.
man, dude. So for those people that don't know me and like my story just a bit, and like one, like this is day one, but we're gonna go like more in depth as the days go on, just so
I feel
people
like
can.
we all over the map right now, bro.
Yeah,
But it's
it's like
okay.
yeah, but that's fine. It's because like like if you're watching this, you're gonna hear certain stuff, and then we're gonna start kind of like connecting dots.
Yeah.
And And that's how it is like in life when you hear stories of the Bible. You know, it's like, oh, you hear this, and that. I was like, but where is it at on the map? How do I connect these dots? So that's how I feel that we're here. But what you were getting at was about golf. Like, yeah, dude, I grew up playing baseball from the age of 3 to college, and then freshman year of college, like I was at a JC and I tore my labrum. Um, and like that was life for me. Like baseball, loved it. Like even though if I was good, if I was bad, like I was never the best player, but I loved it. It was a passion of mine. It's something I loved to do. I enjoyed it.
Yeah.
It was a place where I can talk to God. Like I was on the field and I would before every game, like we would pray before every game. Like, dude, it's a
Yeah, we
blessing we're on
did.
this field. Um, and even the day that I got hurt, like when I tore it, I was pitching. Like I had prayed before that. I was like, oh, like thank you for giving me this right here. And little did I know that that day was like one of my last that like I would actually like remember how my arm felt before that. And then it tore.
Yeah.
It was never the same. And I tried for like 3 years to like get back at it. And I just wasn't. But
Mm.
God willing, dude, that one time you asked me, hey man, like you're coming down, you have any clubs, we're gonna go golfing. Did you want to come along? And I was like, without a doubt, yes, I'll be there. Like I just need to go out. I just want to spend time with my best friend, like with my brother. I was like, yeah, like let's go. And I sucked, but I had one
You
ball.
were terrible.
Yeah, and I had one ball, and you're like, dude, that was striped. I was like, let's go. And from that day
Yeah.
on, I was like, I I honestly didn't want to pick up my glove. Like the first time I picked up my glove last was when I played catch with you when you came over like a month or
Yeah.
so. Before
Like a
that,
little over a month ago.
yeah, and before that, like I hadn't picked up a glove because it's like it's hard for me to see it. But at that point, I was like, okay, like picking it up and playing catch. I knew I was playing catch with my best friend.
It was,
That's another
dude,
story.
I gotta be honest, it was so awkward. Like you couldn't find even like an arm slot. You were going like pushing it and then like because I was like, how's your shoulder? You're like, dude, it's weird. I can't even find like like a fluid arm motion. It was so weird. I
Right,
was like,
dude?
bro, this is nothing like I played catch with you all the time. You would be like
Got
top
in
of
it. Just
except in high school when we long toss, you just hit.
yeah.
I'd have to play. You took the walk and I had the fence because you hit the fence every.
Yeah, but dude, it's because like I would be able to throw, like I throw far, like not having that, I was like, dang. But then like fast forward to like now being able to play golf, like God was like here's something else for you to do. And like
Yeah.
how like that plays relevance in my life was that when my grandfather passed away, I mean my tata, when my tata passed away, it's gonna be a year next month. Um, it was tough because it's like I didn't know what to do, but I knew I had golf that I could go out there and like I'm out there for 3 or 4 hours by myself, but not by myself. I'm like with God.
Yeah.
So I was like, okay, like let me try that. But going out there, like I had time to actually speak to God and like I would be out there like 3 or 4 times a week. I was like, oh dang, like I have this time with God that it's him and I and my family. Like at the time, like they're like, yeah, go out there. If I need money to go play, like yeah, go out there and play because they knew it was my time
Mhm.
where I can enjoy it. But like now it's like when I go on there, like it's not too evangelize, it just happens naturally. It's like, dude, like you're like not even like focusing on the game. But I'm playing decent. I'm playing decent, but I'm like there to talk to people. I'm there to like
Yeah.
share like the love I have for Christ, which is huge. So it's like and like you've been with me, but now like seeing like where God has placed us, whereas like baseball was more prevalent in my life, and for you with other stuff, and how it shifts and stuff like that. It's just
Yeah.
phenomenal to see. Like, dude, it like who would have thought? Not me.
And
Like,
God knew the whole time.
yeah,
That's why it's like when he looks down and laughs, like I don't know if he's like laughing, but he's kind of just like, hey, you be all right. Like, and I constantly like think that in my head. And dude, I look back to that moment when we were on the golf course and I was like worried about this, that, and the other, and I was leaving to come here. And you're like, hey, dog, you believe in God, right? Like, yes. You believe everything happens for a reason, right? Yes. And you're like, so why are you tripping?
I know, dude. It's like,
And
why are
I
you
was like,
tripping?
honestly, I don't know. And like, I come back to that, like, whenever say I wake up and like because sometimes you wake up and like you're not feeling or whatever, and like for me, it'll be something like I'll go on my phone instead of like hitting the alarm, getting up and going straight.
Mhm.
Right now we're in the basement, but going upstairs, making my coffee, and going outside and reading the Bible.
Mhm.
Instead, I'll grab my phone, go back in bed, and go on my phone, and it'd be like
Yeah.
those are the days where I'm like feel like regret. Like I try not to regret things or think that way because I'm learning from it. I
Yeah.
recognize that those are the days where I feel a sense of like, dude, you didn't get started the right way today, or the way I feel is
Mhm.
right, you know? So for other people, they can find that way that they get started, whether it be um, praying on their hands and knees, or like maybe going, like getting up, taking a cold shower, like people do
Yeah.
that, maybe, maybe going outside, go for a run, like maybe it is a coffee right away and like then get started, like whatever it is, find that beginning and end. And in the middle, just trust God the whole way through it, and you're just gonna be fine. Um, and it works every time, bro. Even like if I get overwhelmed with like school or stuff, I'll go like and just pray, like take a break, take deep breaths, realize that the only thing that's promised is right now, and the next second
Yeah.
isn't, and you're gonna be okay. Like, and it's all in God's hands. Lay all your problems at His feet, and man, it's just put me at peace, put me at ease, and it's like, why am I tripping? There's nothing
The
to trip about, like, because the
yeah.
end goal is to get to heaven, bro. That's my end
Facts.
goal. It's like,
Facts.
so it's like, oh, I could, like, I'm not gonna lie, I've been thinking about like the whole Zoom thing and be like, oh, but what if people don't like it, this, that, and I'm like, it don't matter, man. I'm just trying to do this for good. So if there's
Yeah.
people that don't like it, so what?
Yeah.
Like, that's their preference. I can't
Yeah.
control how other people feel. I can
Yeah.
only try and make an impact on their life and the way they live it, you know.
That's facts. That's facts. And I mean, dude, it's like right now we do this all the time. It's like you and I FaceTime and we really have
Yeah.
conversations like these all the time, but it's because like honestly, man, it's like it's for another story, but it's like the Clydesdale horses, and I'll go into depth next time. I'll make sure to address that first and foremost because I think that's
Yeah, we can.
humongous. But that's in
Yeah.
the next episode. But it's but what it really is that like you were saying that tomorrow isn't promised, but being able to learn that and understanding that every single person has their like time to learn how to do it, how to spend time with Christ, because every single person is different, you know.
Yeah.
But trying it, it's like I would rather say that I tried it than I didn't try it. Because let's say I
Yeah.
died tomorrow and I say I never got to know God. I'm faced in front of Him, and He's like, "Who are you? I never knew you." Like,
Yeah.
not like I created you.
Imagine being
You know what I
denied
mean?
by your creator, bro,
Yeah,
because you didn't pray to him.
y-
That's biggest fear of mine, bro. Like I
yeah,
get to know him, like, and if you're of, another religion or something, like I mean, maybe try to call out to, like, we know that that's the way. That's why where our heart desires. That's why
yeah,
we're getting into this, because we've been reading the Bible. We've been called to tell other people, and that's what we
yeah,
feel. And we're gonna show them why,
yeah,
and we're gonna
exactly.
tell them why that Jesus loves them, and those this, that, and the other, and those reasons, and how to approach him and do these things, because he wants you to go to him.
Yeah, exactly.
That's the essential part, is that he loves you no matter what.
Yeah,
But to like to grow and become better and
yeah,
learn from everything that's gone on in your life, you can say like, well, I'll be fine. Jesus loves me. Like,
yeah,
sin is what it is. I'm forgiven. It's like,
yeah,
yes, you're correct. But the whole point is to grow and learn from
yeah,
it, and get closer to him.
yeah,
Because if we said that, imagine if we were still back where we are talking about teenagers and
yeah,
what we did and who we were. We are who we are now, not who we were.
yeah.
And who we're becoming is like, it just makes me really happy, because that's the direction I want to go, and I feel on the right path. So
And it's like even then, it's like you got to know that regardless, like it's even Mary Magdalene, like her entire story, and that's what the chosen talks about. It, and like shows you that's like yeah, like like she was possessed by a demon, God saved her, and I was like, hey, like you're forgiven of your sins. But even then, it's like walking alongside Jesus, but like being there, right? It's like we're trying to walk alongside Jesus, like he's not physically there, but he is there with us, and like
Yeah.
relating to her, like she went back and fell into temptation, and she was like, oh dang, like why am I doing this? And coming back to Christ, like God, Jesus, like I'm sorry I failed you, and he was like, you came back, like I was calling out for you, and you came back. That's
Yeah.
all I wanted, and like
Hmm.
that's us. Like dude, given we fail all the time. Everybody fails. We're not Jesus. We fail. We're gonna have doubts. We're gonna say why is all that stuff. And even then, it's like, oh yeah, like I committed sin, but it's like, but like, but not doing consistent. With like, oh, I did this. I'm gonna go here. Oh, I sinned. I'm here. Like no, like make the action. Actually, try to stay on
Yeah.
your path. If you deviate a bit, like
Improve.
no, it's all
Yeah.
right. Like head back to it. Like he's calling you out because he loves you, and he's like, hey man, like
It's
thanks for coming back.
constantly going back to the drawing board. Constantly go back to that. Like
Yeah,
I've been in that drawing board thousands of times, bro.
yeah,
Thousands, and like, and there's still things I'm improving on and working on, and that's the whole point of this. So, with that being said, thank you to everyone listening to I'm Still Learning. This has been awesome. My name is Vincent Perosi, and I'm
and
here
I'm
with
Ernesto
Ernesto
Loya,
Loya.
and
Thank you guys so much for tuning in.
this is just the beginning. It's a lot of more conversations that I feel listeners and other people can relate to because I mean, dude, we're still learning. We're not perfect. Like we have the same
Still learning.
struggles. Like nobody's perfect. I'm not saying that we're all high and mighty because we really aren't. Like you know,
Yeah.
it's like we're
No, for
human.
real, dude.
Like we're human. Like I struggle every single day. Like to like even start a conversation with God. I was like, why am I tripping? And I was like, no, like talk to him. Like, yo, what's up? That's literally all it is. And
Yeah.
that's why I feel it's powerful. And that's why again we're still learning.
I'm still learning.
Yeah, that's
Amen,
all it is.
brother. God
Hey
bless.
man, God bless. Love all y'all out there. God bless.
Welcome to this journey.
Amen.